Welcome, new and old friends. My name is 242, and today 42 got us 3 sci-fi horror stories. So, turn off your lights, make sure your doors and windows are locked. Things are about to get spooky. Since Japan will experience the most coolest temperatures ever recorded, I prepared an electric heater blanket, and foot warmer. Today I woke up. Electricity is gone. Consumer Experiment by H.R. Welch. The gator flu, thanks Florida, was hard on most people, and like millions of others, I lost my job so my boss could generate record profits. During the year and a half of lockdown, everything was shut down. People were going out of work, and the news only seemed to cover the deaths the gator flu created, and wildfires that seemed to get bigger every year. Honestly, it felt like the end of the world. So when the word came down that the governor lifted the lockdown, only partially, people could have not been happier. Some people wanted to get a haircut. Others wanted to watch a movie. Me, on the other hand, I just wanted a greasy burger and a booth at my favorite dive restaurant. However, the burger would have to wait. I'm in college, unemployed, and have to pinch every penny in order to pay my part of the rent. Thankfully, it wasn't long before I came across a flyer asking for help with a consumer experiment. Since it paid, I figured that it couldn't hurt to at least check it out. Besides, this would break up the monotonous days the gator flu created. I called the number that was listed, but wasn't given any meaningful details about the job. They just said to park in the mall's east lot an hour before it opened and go to the movie theater. Inside, there had to have been 50 people in attendance for the same flyer that I saw. This made me nervous. After all, I wasn't completely sure that I wouldn't get the job just for showing up. Orientation only took about 5 minutes, and the job sounds simple enough. Use a tally counter to count everyone who comes into the mall. Subtract from that number when people leave. Shifts would be 10 hours long, with each hour alternating between working and a break. We were also instructed to wear ear protection. Think what the landing signal officers on aircraft carriers wear, only bulkier. During our shift, and that we could only take them off in the break room. To remove the ear protection anywhere else for any reason would result in immediate termination. The job and the rules were strange, but I didn't care. If the job meant that I didn't have to eat ramen every day, I would do whatever was asked of me. A woman, who I never saw before, and I were assigned to the main east doors. When the mall was open to the public, people were giving me some strange looks due to the huge earmuffs. Once our shifts were up, we were relieved by 2 others with the same job, so we went back to the break room to begin our break. During this time, both me and the woman at the same door counted 21 people coming in, and not a single one had left. In the designated break room, our supervisor offered the counters, a name we gave ourselves, free coffee from Jitter Juice. After he left to fetch us our coffee, the counters started to share some of the theories about this new and strange job. I ignored most of what was said because I read that isolation caused people to be more likely to believe in conspiracies. What causes more isolation than a pandemic? One man claimed that this experiment was actually on us. Another said that there was no conspiracy. The gator flu changed people's shopping habits, and companies needed our help in order for them to sell their things. A squirrely man in his 40s claimed that the mosaic being played over the mall's intercoms were filled with subliminal messages, and that was why we had to wear ear protection. When the supervisor came back into the room with a cart full of coffee, we changed the topic. None of us wanted to tempt fate and possibly piss off the boss. Looking back on it, it's odd that not one of the people there asked anything. At the time, I think we were just grateful when our coffee arrived. Personally, I was thrilled seeing that cart being rolled in. It had been far too long since I had a pumpkin spice latte. After the break was over, I headed back to the doors I was assigned, and on the way there I couldn't help but notice the shoppers all around me. None of them looked happy. They didn't look sad or upset either. They looked blank and as plain as soggy crackers. It was during my second 1-hour shift that I started to notice that I didn't have to dial back the number on the counter I was holding. No one was leaving, so the number kept climbing. On my second break, I mentioned this to one of the other counters, and they all claimed that they noticed the same thing. The squirrely man spoke more about his theory about hidden messages in the mosaic being played over the loudspeakers. This time, when he talked, we all paid attention to him. I was getting a very bad feeling about this. On the third 1-hour shift, I was told to stand at the southern doors instead. Also assigned at the southern doors was a man who spoke about the subliminal messages in the break room. At the time, he sounded monkey poo bananas, but now I think he might have been right. For the rest of the day, I would see people approach the doors with armfuls of bought goods, only to turn back around and continue shopping. As crazy as the subliminal message idea was, I had seen too much to dismiss it outright. For the rest of the day, I didn't see a single person leave. Hour after hour, the people looked more and more disheveled. And by the end of the day, the things that I saw were more than just a little weird. A crying family putting their kid in one of those kid rides that looked like a train. A topless woman who clenched her teeth so much I could hear her teeth break inside her mouth. And much more. Even though the money is good, I don't think I'll come back to this mall tomorrow when my shift is supposed to start. My dog walks across the room and jumps up into Grandpa's recently empty chair. As he oddly begins licking the empty air, my eyes widen as I see a distinct shape of handprints showing through his fur. Beneath the Insulin Sea by Mediamusing. Mission Control looks just like it does in the movies. Lines of desks aimed at giant screens. Scores of scientists and engineers chatting excitedly in front of their own smaller monitors. Across the room from me, Carlo Costa leads a gaggle of excited VIPs from workstation to workstation, waxing lyrically about the Nautilus probe and the billions of dollars he's spent on all of this. "Remember, Darsha," my boss whispers in my ear. "We need the pH in any dissolved materials as soon as the raw data arrives." It's the fourth time he's reminded me in as many minutes. "Got it," I answered, not quite managing to keep the irritation from my voice. I was brought in 2 days ago to replace an oceanographer Costa fired, and my boss is still terrified I'll screw up. "Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?" Mission Control falls silent as Costa speaks from the center of the room. "We didn't find evidence of life on Mars. He begins in what is certainly his big, rehearsed moment. But Saturn's moon Enceladus and its subterranean ocean was the next best bet. And so it became my dream to go there and see what we might discover. And that dream is about to become a reality. We should receive the Nautilus probe's transmission any moment now. And then we will make history as the first humans ever to peer into the depths of an alien ocean. A round of jubilant applause follows. Even the stoic military guys in the corner clap. As the applause dies down, all attention turns to the biggest screen at the front of the room. There's an audible gasp as the word searching turns into receiving data, and the excited yelps as a shaky image forms. I see the tech guys at the front of the room working furiously to clean it up. That's the view from the Nautilus camera, Costa exclaims as the image sharpens. It's filming the bottom of the borehole. It should leave the ice and descend into the ocean any second now. A few moments, a lot of bubbles, and the Nautilus probe is finally submerged. Finally, it moves through the water, filming everything its searchlight illuminates. The first one is a shadow, a murky shape in the water at the extreme edge of the camera's reach. No one dares speak as the Nautilus inches towards the object. But all that changes once the searchlight illuminates her pale, contorted face. A woman's face. A human woman wearing a flowery summer dress. "What the hell?" one of the VIPs beside Costa cries. "Look!" someone else shouts. "There are more!" And he's right. The probe's camera is panning now, and there are others. Men, more women, even children. All of them floating lifeless in an alien ocean 750 million miles away. "Is this some kind of sick joke, Costa?" a movie star VIP demands. For once, Costa is speechless. None of the scientists know what to do either. Most of them are just gaping at the screen. "Look at that one!" one of the tech guys shouts. The probe camera has taken aim at a man wearing a tunic, cloak, and sword belt. If it wasn't so utterly impossible, I say I was looking at a dead Roman soldier. "Cut the feed!" The three military guys are storming towards the middle of the room. "Cut the feed now!" The screen goes black as the trio reaches Costa. "I am General Fraser," the oldest of the trio announces, "and I am retroactively declaring everything you all witnessed on that screen as strictly confidential." "But the media," the shell-shocked Costa managed to whimper. "They're waiting to see what the Nautilus filmed." Before he answers, General Fraser nods to one of his subordinates. The younger man heads towards the door. "The press will be informed that the mission failed due to technical difficulties," Fraser declared to the room at large. Then he muttered something about risking national-wide hysteria to Costa, shutting him up. As Fraser speaks, I notice his subordinates take up a position by the door. He's blocking it so we can't get out and tell anyone what we saw. Before I really know what I'm doing, I stand. "People need to be made aware of this discovery, General Fraser," I said, my boss looking horrified beside me. "Surely you can't be suggesting that we cover it up." "Young lady," Fraser responds, "please return to your seat. This is now a matter of national security." "What we just saw goes way beyond one nation," I say. Everyone on the planet needs to know about this. She's right, a VIP I recognize as a TV talk show host says. I started out as a journalist. There's no way I can sit on something like this. May I remind you all, General Fraser booms over the growing murmurs of the room, that all of you signed a legally binding agreement. It explicitly prohibits you from— Screw some piece of paper, I snap as I sense the room begin to side with me. The world needs to know that there's a bunch of dead people floating around in an ocean humans have supposedly never visited before. However this happened, it changes everything. The girl's right, the TV host says. I'm calling my old newspaper right now. As she pulls her phone out of her pocket, General Fraser nods at his other subordinate, the one still standing beside him. In an instant, his subordinate unholsters his sidearm and puts a bullet in the TV host's head. Her body crumples to the floor, and the room is stunned into silence. Anyone else keen to speak to the media? The general asks. In 2341, one of the few surviving Bibles was recovered by an isolated town. The townfolk dismissed the poor condition of the Bible and enjoyed their Sunday communion by passing around and drinking the blood of Chris. Translated Record of First Contact with Human by TastySweetPea. Record 464-C-001. Finally, we arrive. We were anxious to explore this strange world. The council had likely never seen an exploring vessel repaired so quickly. An actual chance to meet other intelligent life? It truly is historic. Record 464-C-004. The writings we recovered near our initial landing site reveals that the dominant life form called themselves human. Other nearby life forms have been non-intelligent. Current hypothesis is that the humans grew technology parallel to ourselves, and have left to explore and archive just as we have. This level of advancement doesn't quite match up with the records and the architecture we are finding. The humans had yet to discover any faster-than-light travel, or even observation, though I am meeting hard resistance on this hypothesis. Other team members insist that despite not having a shed of physical proof, much of their media contains reference to such technology. Record 464-C-015. Initial hypothesis has been disproven. The Explorer team have been hard at work analyzing the technology of the human, and have concluded that they simply didn't understand enough of the universe required to form a mass exodus. The spotty media we've been able to translate contain wildly inconsistencies, conflicting technology, and more than believable omissions concerning just this galaxy alone. It's as if they simply made up what they wanted to be able to do instead of actually doing it. Maddening. The question remains then, where have they gone? Record 464-C-021. Explorer team reports their first encounter with the human this morning. An Arctivist, junior level, designation 4T55R, apparently used his overlight to illuminate a structured cavern in an abandoned structure. When the light reflected off an eye in the darkness, the creature hastily retreated further into the wall of the structure, and attempts to locate it were unsuccessful. The archivist was asked to recollect the creature's physique, and the description loosely matches the self-referential artwork and records we have thus far. I'm perplexed, as these creatures don't seem capable of logical thought, much less reading and writing. Record 464-C-028. Another setback. The exploring team was finally able to locate and corner what we believe is a human, only to have the creature expire as soon as the team had eyes on it. Autopsy revealed the creature died of an overdose of a hormone compound they have labeled adrenaline. There are no records in what we have gathered that indicate this is a form of self-defense. Very confusing. Record 464-C-036. Some insight. Apparently, most creatures on this planet have a strange sort of reflective behavior when stressed or threatened. This fight or flight mechanism seems to dominate most of the lesser life forms' interactions, while most human writing, those we have successfully translated, seem to infer this reaction takes place very rarely in the dominant species. It seems most often triggered during interactions with their own species. The mere fact that these creatures were at war with only themselves further solidifies the truth. They are not nearly as advanced as they believe themselves to be. Record 464-C-047. Progress, though slow. A few more humans were found, and we've agreed as a team to simply give them space. After monitoring them remotely, it appears that they are now very solitary creatures, native to caverns and other tight spaces in which they barely fit. They emerge only rarely to hunt for food. They are still omnivores and are prone to trying to eat anything that seems remotely edible to them. If they sense movement or any other indications that they are not alone, they will sprint back and squeeze into their home. We also discovered that if we watch for too long, or by more than a single team member, the human will begin to panic and eventually expire. Careful rotations are in place to prevent this, but the cause still eludes us. Record 464-C-049. Finally, answers. After running calculation of this planet's orbit and position, we successfully found what might be the reason for the sudden shift in human behavior. The last dates of written and coherent broadcast material we can find coincides with the exact moment the Council's study of the planet was made. These humans possess an extraordinary quality, in that they have an uncanny ability to tell when they're being observed. Unfortunately for them, it appeared that our Council is so much highly evolved than the human neural network simply overloaded. Even from such a distance, our collective gaze triggered a permanent state of fight or flight, and with no visible threat, it seems flight was chosen. A shame. The humans were close to understanding a few of the fundamental pillars of reality, but it seems they will remain savages until the last of them die out. End of report. Don't worry about putting on your helmet. This planet has breathable air, said my co-pilot. I wasn't sure I quite trusted that advice, given that the whites of his eyes had turned black. And with that, my friends, our time together is drawing to an end. As always, I like to thank the writers who let me read their stories. Each writer did an amazing job at a different side of sci-fi. Truth is, sci-fi really is one of my favorite things to read. You can really go far and beyond with it. Horror is great, but when you throw a little bit of science fiction in, it's even better. Also, H.R. Welch has a subreddit as well if you'd like to go check it out to see more of his things. The link will be on my website as always. Now, if you enjoyed these stories, hit that like button and make sure it feels it. If you're new, subscribe and turn that pretty little bell to all notifications. And if you'd like to help this channel/podcast, please just share it with anyone who might enjoy it. It's very surprising how much that helps. And if you'd like to help in other ways, well, for $1 a month, I do have YouTube members and Patreon, where you get early access to the audio and bigger bonuses for the more you pay. And I want to do like a live stream or something for them, but just at this moment I don't have enough patrons or members to warrant it. So the more I get, the more bonuses there will be in the end. If you like something with my cute little avatars on it, I have merch, and if you just like to buy me a coffee, I do have Patreon. All the links are down below, and a lot of them are on screen right now as well. None of this will ever be expected, but always appreciated, guys. Last but never least, I would love a comment, but let me get you that Sunday word first. On screen right now is everyone who wrote me a sentence using last week's word. Well, 2 weeks ago anyways. As always, guys, thank you so much. Now, on to this week's word, which is safety. So if you're on YouTube, just write me a sentence down below and you'll be in next week's video. If you're on the podcast or somewhere where you can't post, just @ me on Twitter and you'll be in next week's video/photo as well. But as always, guys, thank you for watching and listening. It really means the world to me. Sleep tight and don't let 42 bite.